Welcome back. So this week it's time to code our targets and finish our game. The first thing we need to do is go down to our sprite icon and choose a sprite for your targets. Something menacing, something that your spaceship's going to need to shoot from the sky, protecting the universe. I like this one. Now, my target is facing the wrong way, so I'm going to change the direction by clicking in the box, making sure that the flip button is selected, and rotating it until it's facing my spaceship. Now, we need to add some code to it, but first of all, I'm going to change its name to target so I can find it easily when I'm looking for it in the drop downs later on. Now we're going to put our code underneath another one of these nice When I Start as Clone tabs, and we need to show it in the first instance. We don't want them all to start in the same place, so we're going to add some coordinates. So we're going to put X to 250, and then we're going to put the Y to a random number which is under our operators. So you can pick a random number, look for that white circle between 1 and 10, but what we're going to do is we're going to change that to between minus 140 and 140, which is anywhere between the top and the bottom of the screen. So it's always going to start way over here, and it will randomly be anywhere up and down the y-axis. Under that, we're going to add a forever loop. And we're going to make our targets move across the screen in this direction towards our rocket. So a bit like we did for the laser, but in the opposite direction. So we're going to change X by a minus number. There we go. I chose minus 25, although that might be a bit fast. We'll test it shortly and see what it looks like. The last thing we have to do now is add the instructions for what happens when the target reaches the left hand side of the screen, or if it gets hit by a laser. So we're going to need another When I Start as Clone, but below this one we're going to add our wait until with that diamond bracket. And from our sensing, you can see that touching mouse pointer that we used before, and we're going to use the drop down to select laser. So when it's touching laser, what do we want it to do? Now you might think that we just want it to disappear, but because this is a game, we want it to keep track of our score. To do this, we're going to add something called a variable. So we're going to go down to the variable tab, and we're going to make a variable, and we're going to call it score. So we're also going to make one called health. We're going to grab our change. At the moment it's set to change health, but we can change that. So change score by 1. So when our target is touching a laser, we're going to change our score by 1. So far so good. Next we need to make sure that target does actually disappear. So in the same way we did for the laser, we can remove it by just using the delete this clone tab. So far for our target we've got some code that says when it started, it's going to start somewhere on the far right of the screen, anywhere on the y-axis, and then it's going to keep moving to the left. unless it's shot by a laser, at which point the score is going to go up by 1 and then it's going to disappear. You can see our variables have appeared in the top here, so our score and our health are up the top. Okay, next we need to put some code in to tell our target what to do if it reaches this side of the screen. So we're going to start by copying the code that we did for when it gets hit by a laser. But it's not going to be touching the laser, so we can get rid of that part. What we're going to do is set it up so that when it hits a certain point here along the x-axis, that it will disappear. So we're going to use one of these operators, and we're going to have this something equals 50. I'm going to pop that in the wait until box. We're going to go to motion, find that X position, that's right down the bottom, pop that in the box. So wait until the X position is equal to, and we're going to say minus 230, which is just off the edge of the screen here. And instead of changing our score by 1, because we don't want our score to go up if we've missed the target, we're going to change our health by -1. There we go. Now we just need to make sure that all of this doesn't appear on the title screen, and we need to add some code to make the targets actually appear in the first place. So we're going to add our flag control, so under events when green flag is clicked, and we're going to add a hide. Now we want our targets to start appearing when we push that start button. So under events, we can say when I receive start, and under that we'll make sure the targets stop appearing when we run out of lives with a repeat until. So under control, we can say repeat until with that square bracket at the top. We're going to add another one of those operators, and our blank with the equal 50. We can grab health from our variables, drag that down, and if we change that 50 to 0, so the target's going to keep coming until your health is equal to 0. Inside that loop, we need to create lots and lots of copies of the target to come running at our spaceship. So we can do that by saying create clone of myself, which is under control. And then we'll give it a little wait. Now, depending on how you change the numbers here, it could make the game very easy, or it could make the game very difficult. So we can use a pick a random number operator to make it a little bit more unpredictable. You can change the left box to 0.2 and the right box to 1.5. So that means there'll be another target coming somewhere between a fraction of a second and 1.5 seconds. So they might come together very quickly, or there might be a longer gap between targets appearing. Choosing 0 will make the game pretty much impossible because it means all the targets could appear at once, but you could make it really hard and just see how long you last. The last few things we need to do are to clean up our starting score and health, as well as making sure that the laser knows that it's hit something, because we need to go back in and add that target to the code. So for our starting health and score, we need to go back to the start button. So click on it down here with the other sprites, and under hide, but above where it says broadcast start, we can add 2 buttons from the variable. Set health. I'm going to set mine to 5, but again, you can set it however you like. Obviously, if you have 1 life, it's going to make it very difficult. If you have 100 lives, it's not going to be quite so challenging. And we're going to set our score. Finally, we need to go back to our laser. If you remember this piece of code that basically said when the laser is touching the edge or touching, at the moment it says mouse pointer, but we want it to say target. There we go. Now that we have the target all set up, we can change that to target, so when the laser is touching the edge or touching the target, it's going to disappear. That should be that. So let's test our game. First of all, when we hit the green button, it should set our score to 0 and our health to 5. That's great. Oh, except our ducks are not disappearing. Let's just stop that before it crashes the game. Now the problem with that is likely to be under the target's code. So we said wait until the X position is minus 230 before deleting the clone. I've got a feeling that our ducks are not quite reaching that X position. So let's change this to 200. Hit the green flag to start again. That's better. And our health is going down too. So let's actually see if we can play the game a little bit. So we've got our score and our health. Oh. I think my targets are going pretty quickly. I might want to slow those down a bit. Oh, that's it. My health has got to 0. Game over. I think I definitely need to give myself a break and slow those targets down. So looking at the code, this is the one that's controlling the speed that those move across the room. So let's change that to minus 10 instead. That's more like it. So when you're all done with your game, you can give it a name up in the top here. I'm going to call mine Spaceship Shooter. And what you can do is you can share it, which means it will save it so that anybody else can have a look at your game. You can put instructions in. You can leave a little note for someone if you want to. If you copy the link here, you can share it with us over on our Facebook page at iLab Network. I can't wait to see what you come up with.